Look down at Stamford Bridge right now, and you'll find a club holding its breath. They finished last year in a dismal 10th place, and that result still dictates the atmosphere around the stadium. But individual talent is starting to cut through that gloom. Cole Palmer is putting in the kind of performances that suggest the raw quality is already on the pitch. Because of that talent, the media mandate has shifted. Prominent journalists are arguing the time for excuses to end. The demand is a return to title contention and an end to dampened expectations. In most cases, a young squad in the middle of a massive rebuild is granted years of patience. But the scale of this investment has completely overridden the usual grace period. The ownership group took control of a club that had been frozen by government sanctions and paralyzed by legal restrictions. Releasing the club from that state required over £2 billion. Todd Boehly then authorized an immediate spending surge. In just their first season, this new ownership group spent £747 million on the playing squad. By spending more capital than any owner in the history of the sport, they have forfeited the right to a quiet, pressure-free transition period. The media characterized this early spending as a trolley dash. They watched Chelsea step in to secure targets that rivals were already pursuing, most notably Moises Caicedo. They followed the same pattern with Romeo Lavia, outbidding competitors to stockpile high-profile midfield assets. This strategy locks players into rare 7 to 9 year contracts, stretching into the 2030s. Using amortization, the club slices transfer fees into small, equal portions across the contract, keeping the books within spending regulations. It is a historic gamble. The club is betting that this financial engineering will replicate Manchester United's success with youth in the 90s, but there is no guarantee the talent will mature as expected. Much of the current restlessness is rooted in the legacy of Roman Abramovich. When he initiated his massive spending surge in 2004, the team won the league immediately. This chart shows how the two eras compare. If you adjust for modern football inflation and the rise in broadcast revenue, Abramovich's 2004 outlay is highly comparable to the current £747 million spent. The criticism focuses on the lack of an instant return. Fans are comparing the current project to a historical precedent where massive spending was met with immediate silverware. However, demanding a title this year ignores the competitive landscape. Chelsea does not operate in a vacuum. Look at Arsenal. They are a dominant force now, but it took Mikel Arteta 7 years and hundreds of millions spent on specific profiles to build this mature setup. Then there is Manchester City, an established, high-efficiency system that punishes even the smallest errors from the rest of the league. Expecting Chelsea to instantly overpower these finely tuned multi-year projects is historically unlikely, regardless of how much they've spent. If a title is out of reach this season, the pragmatic goal for a team coming from 10th place is simply to become competitive again. Having a spot in the top 4 and closing the gap on City and Arsenal would be a clear sign of progress. It would prove the project is actually moving toward the elite level. While fans may accept this incremental step today, their long-term ambition rejects a top 4 finish as a permanent destination for the club. This creates the core tension at Chelsea. The footballing reality requires time for development, while the financial and emotional investment demands immediate results. The entire foundation of modern Chelsea is built on billions of pounds of investment and decade-long financial commitments. When a club operates at this level of capital expenditure, simply participating in the Champions League does not balance the books. A 4th-place finish does not justify the scale of the initial outlay. The financial structure of this project dictates a singular measure of success. To justify the investment, the team must hold the Premier League trophy. If this billion-dollar experiment does not end with a title, the balance sheet itself will define the project as a failure.